Alright. Hello, my name is Chakalaka, and this is my Corona Relief done quick submission for Battle for Bikini Bottom any percent. Yeah, let's get to it. So timing starts when I press no on the autosave prompt. So 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. So this run is around 55 minutes, and basically what we're going to be doing is collecting 75 of the main collectibles in the game to access the final boss fight in the Chum Bucket Lab. So we're going to be collecting a ton of golden spatulas, which are like dispersed throughout the game because the plot of it goes is that robots have taken over Bikini Bottom after Plankton set the Duplicatotron switch to do not obey. So they just dispersed a ton of golden spatulas that we're going to need to get into the final boss fight and other levels. So that's like what we're going to be collecting throughout the game. It's akin to stars in Mario 64. It's a lot like those, but I'm just going to get right into explaining the tricks because we have a huge one right here. Basically, Hans takes you out of, or like the hand takes you out of the level whenever you're in an out of bounds area, but if you enter a loading zone while Hans is on the screen, it actually disables him for the rest of the run. And that by doing this, we're going to be able to go out of bounds for the rest of the run, and that opens up a ton of possibilities for platforming, and just like being able to access stuff early and stuff like that. So yeah, huge skip right in the first minute. And yeah, so we're actually gonna be able to use the effects of that right here. Normally if you fell down this like cliff, you would get taken out of the level because you're intended to go all the way around the cliff and access a bungee challenge, but because Hans is disabled, we can jump down there and get the spatula and then get the warp in the process. And that's another thing about this game that is different, like differentiates it from other platformers. It has a warp system, so we can like easily traverse between levels when we're doing like backtracking and stuff like that. But yeah, big skip coming up here. I just got to make sure I get this. This is Robo Sandy skip. It's a jump spin, jump out of bounds to skip into area 2. So here we go. There we go, yeah. So that's a really tight jump because we have to go under an invisible wall and like barely have enough room to jump back up and grab onto the ledge. So the effect of doing this is that we're going to be able to access a ton of really fast levels in early game, like in SpongeBob's Dream and Ambush in the Tree Dome, because at this point in the game we don't have any upgrades, so a lot of the levels we can't actually do at full speed. Like the only ones we can really do that are they wouldn't be affected by having the other powers are like Dream and I guess like jellyfishing or jellyfish fields. I'm used to Truth or Square right now. I just finished up that submission, but yeah, like basically the Bubble Bowl and Cruise Bubble are like the main power-ups that you obtain throughout the game, and through their obtainment we kind of split the run up into like early game, mid game, and late game. So right now we're in early game obviously, and we don't have any power-ups. So we're just going to be using stuff like this, which is Rollbuck. We basically store the sponge ball power-up by not walking on the ground. We bring it up to this platform, and we roll up the ramp, and then that allows us to jump all the way up to the Chum Bucket, which normally we wouldn't be able to, or like in intended gameplay, or how Heavy Iron intended, you were supposed to get up here using the Cruise Bubble, which you're supposed to get after defeating Industrial Park after getting 40 spatulas. But by doing that, we get the warp for Chum Bucket, and we can just go to area 3 whenever in the run. So that's a very useful skip because we're well, actually we're gonna go back to Jellyfish and finish that up. I just like to split up the level. Oh, there we go. I just like to split up Jellyfish because you know, it's nice to just get Robo Sandy skip and Rollbuck out of the way because those tricks can be kind of iffy, especially if I had gotten a good hammer skip, which is the next trick coming up. Basically in this game, after you get damaged, the game tries to knock you back to your last recorded position on the ground, and there's a trick in the game we call a one frame jump, where if you press A the frame after your damage animation ends, you can do another input. So right here, I'm going to lure this hammer bot up here, and then right there. So I got damaged and it tried to put me back up to where the hammer bot is, but I pressed A on the frame after the damage animation end, like I said, and I basically, oh, okay, so I kind of messed up the route here, but that's fine. So, yeah, basically, with the one frame jump, it allows you to essentially do a triple jump because you get an extra leap that you can use to get to higher ledges. We'll use that in Goo Lagoon as well. That's coming up after Dream, but I still got to do Pat's Hammer before we do that. So, yeah, basically, oh, I should also explain like what these are. I'm collecting socks because through the robot invasion, someone dispersed Patrick's sock collection, and we can't have any of that, so we have to collect all the socks for Pat throughout the game. Oh dang, that's Pat's hammer. That's a pretty difficult trick right there. There's 80 socks in the game, and every time we get 10, we can trade them in to Patrick, kind of like the blue coins in Super Mario Sunshine. There we go. That's like a damage boost with a bash to get up to that platform. But yeah, we're gonna use the warp for Chum Bucket to go over here and access the SpongeBob's Dream level. So I'm just gonna like talk to Krabs. That allows us to get the Krusty Krab warp, so we can do that later. Gonna enter Dream. Also, that you can tell that there's like a lot of cutscenes that we can go into, but we can skip all of them. Except there's a few like when we're entering like a fight where we can't skip the cutscenes. So what we'll do is we'll just like do a death warp. And that ends up being faster than having to watch the cutscene. But basically what I'm going to do here for slide skip is I kind of clip into the block using the momentum from the slide. I do a double jump onto the spike, and then I can go onto the trampoline, thus skipping a challenge where you have to pay a clam 1,000 shiny objects, which is like the basically the main currency in the game. Like right there, I would have had to pay 1,000 shiny objects to get the trampolines to get up to there normally, but we can just skip it by basically jumping off the slide and going up to the final trampoline. And with that, we can get the warp for Super Bounce, and now we're in Sandy's Dream. This is usually like a 3 to 4 minute long slide level, but since we disabled Hans, we can jump over to the acorn right at the end of the slide, and there's a little bit of collision, like a trigger, that tricks the game into thinking that we had gotten to the acorn or like to the end of the slide, and we can do a death warp to get up to here and just grab the spatula. So it cuts it into a very short level, and now we're just gonna warp back to the start of Dream, and we're gonna do oil skip. And this is kind of why we do this in early game, just because a lot of these you don't really need any power-ups to do like really fast. So right here, basically gonna do another like damage boost like I did for Pat's hammer, ground pound, and then a bash, and nice. Alright, yeah, that can be kind of weird, but we got it, so very solid. So yeah, just gonna jump over here, and then the most difficult level is Pat's Dream by far. We have to find the golden spatula. Fun fact about this level, it's actually an infinite loop. Like, there's nothing in it, but like if you just keep walking in one direction, you'll end up on the other side. So, you know, spatulas like stars, like socks like blue coins, Pat's Dream like endless staircase. It's basically a Mario game. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So basically, Squidward just challenges us to jump around like an idiot, and if you jump 10 times, he gives you a spatula. That actually kind of, like, the jump timing is a little weird. Like, sometimes it just doesn't really work properly, so you'll do like 10 jumps, but if you do them too fast, it just doesn't count them. But yeah. Also, I should mention, like, there's Patrick with the socks, but there's also Mr. Krabs with the shiny objects. So basically, he asks for an increasing amount of shiny objects in exchange for spatulas. So I think he starts at like 3,000 per spatula, and then it just progressively goes up by 500. So we're gonna have to get a ton of shiny objects to get all of the spatulas, but we're going to be able to do that by using a trick called skee ball abuse. That's coming up in mid-game, but I just want to like preface that just to explain like where we were getting all the spatulas, because not all of them are from the levels. Like, a lot of them are from like the hub world or the characters. Yeah, I'm going to do one frame here. There we go. Third try is pretty good. And I'm going to do a trick called Sponge Glide right here. If I get the setup, that looks alright. There we go. Alright, so Sponge Glide, basically we ground pound into the lifeguard tower after getting a damage boost, and for some reason, we don't really know exactly how it works, but it's able to stop our vertical momentum and maintain our horizontal momentum, and that allows us to get over to there. And then we can do another Sponge Glide right here to enter the trigger that normally would only be accessible by Patrick by using the teeter-totter with the melon. So yeah, Sponge Glide is like probably the dumbest looking trick in the game, but everyone's just so intrigued by it because SpongeBob's face, like it's just whack. You just gliding across the sea. And this is actually a good example of a level that we're able to backtrack almost completely because we actually just glided to the end of the level, and through a teleport box we can come back to the beginning of Pier and then just like basically destroy the ticket booth, activate Mr. Krabs' challenge, and then if we just keep going backwards through the level, we can keep using these teleport boxes to just like get the spatula at the end of a challenge and then just go further back into the level to get another spatula. So right here, instead of having to do the intense platforming of sea caves, we can just walk to the bridge and it's there. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump in the box. That was some weird collision. And I'm just gonna go in the toll gate, or actually not a toll gate. There are toll gates in the game, but not this one. And then I'm just gonna get the King of the Castle spat, and yeah. So now I'm just gonna work back to connect the towers, because the reason why we hit that that robot before like the second Sponge Glide was because that robot's actually hoarding all the sunscreen on Goo Lagoon. So Larry isn't having any of that. He's putting a spatula on the line. I just warped to the wrong spot. So yeah, he's putting like a spatula on the line for you to help out the Bikini Bottomites and get their sunscreen. But yeah, I have 16 spatulas right now because I was supposed to do Tree Dome afterwards, but the any percent route and Hundo route have different places for you to do Tree Dome, so I kind of got messed up there. But that's no big deal. I'll just skip out on doing that and go straight to SBA. So this is Poseidon. This is like the first major boss fight in the game. There's 3 of them. There's Robo Patrick in Industrial, and then Robo SpongeBob is the final boss fight. There really isn't like much to do in this. It's basically just we walk away from her, and then if we jump to the center of the arena, it like lures her to do her animation like immediately. So that's how we speed up phase 1. And then for phase 2, we're gonna basically manipulate like which fence Sandy goes to. So I'm just gonna stand right here, and then she's gonna go to the one on my right. And if I stand on the E in Poseidon and then ground pound when she attacks, I'll be able to like pick up the head in like a pretty favorable spot. So just like right there, can throw it into the scorecard and just go back over to here. That's really it. This is like a good time to read off donations if that is a part of the marathon this year. I'm not really sure if it was because like it's an online marathon, and I haven't seen any online GDQ marathons in a while, so I kind of forgot if they did like donations. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to read them off because not much to do in here. It's just like nice downtime in between like early game and mid game, because mid game there's some pretty tight platforming, I would say, that we're just gonna have to focus on. But you know, I think I got it. And so just one more hit of phase 2, and then phase 3 switches it up a little bit. You basically just the thing about like these boss fights is it just alternates between the 2 characters, like based off of how many hits there are. So you know, after 3 hits, onto the SpongeBob phase. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good spot to just kind of like, if you need to like stretch, you can just do that, because you know, she's just gonna go to this one anyway, and like the spying clothesline move, I was trying to match it up with the narrator, but I failed miserably. The clothesline move doesn't actually activate until she's slightly far away from the fence, So you can just kind of stand there, which I usually do. But yeah, basically just gonna stand like kind of near the corners, and that's a good way to manipulate her to go to one of the two fences that are closest to you. And then you just get like a ground pound before she hits the ground. Gotta be optimal. I actually run a category called 16% where it's basically first boss RTA, so you're trying to get to like Poseidon and beat Sandy as quickly as possible, and it's a pretty fun category. It's quite difficult. Yeah, so I'm guessing I'll just split on, I guess, there we go. That was like kind of weird, but it works. So yeah, now we're going to be doing SBA. So right now we only have 671 shinies, but we need about 42,000 in order to pay for all the crab spatulas and everything else we have to pay for throughout the run. Okay. That G-Love kind of sniped me right there, I gotta admit it. But yeah, also the reason why we cleared the bumper boats is because we activated the crabs like task earlier by talking to him in Pier, and the next part of that is to beat bumper boats, so we can just do that on the way over to SBA. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to get 2 of these stone tikis lodged into the 30 hole for the skee ball machine over here, and if we throw a bubble bowl into it, which is the upgrade that we just got from Poseidon, we'll be able to have we'll have the ball get stuck in between the 2 stone tikis, and it'll start oscillating back and forth into the trigger that gives you the 30 shinies. So theoretically you could get like 900 shiny objects per second, and that's just an insane amount because you only need 42,000. And since there are spatulas that you need to get in Goo Lagoon Pier, it is advantageous because you're able to get like Tower Bungee and like Duplicatotron sock. So yeah, I just gotta make sure I get the setup. It's pretty precise, but I think that's good angle. I just gotta move forward a little bit. Alright, that looks good. Alright, yeah. There's a little bit of a mustache on the bottom tiki, that's the way you can tell. And then we're just gonna like ledge grab onto here, and then do a bowl into here. I should also mention there's like a little bit of a volume warning because it is a little bit loud since it's compounding so many like sound effects at the same time. But you know, it's not too bad. I can turn down sound effect volume like before doing it if it's too much of a problem. But yeah. So we're just gonna like traverse through Goo Lagoon Pier as it's just racking up shiny objects. It's actually going so fast that the counter can't keep up with it. So you'll see when we go out of the trigger, it's just gonna quickly count up to like 23,000 around there. Yeah, 23,000. That was pretty close. Yeah. So I'm basically just gonna use a bash and then turn around to grab the ledge from there. That's actually a pretty tight jump. I've always had a bit of trouble with that one, but that's actually a very good split so far. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna get the slip and slide under the pier spatula. I should be able to make it without waiting, but I'll just like stop for a little bit because the spatula is actually out of the range of where SBA can work. So if like you're below, you'll have to like jump back into the trigger and stuff like that. But let's see, this should be good enough. Oh, okay, yeah, 50,000. Let's go. So yeah, I'm just gonna warp to clear the bumper boats, and then this is the final spatula in Goo Lagoon. Alright, yeah, that's actually pretty solid. So Forbidden Skip up next. We're actually gonna go back to Dream. We're gonna come back to this each time we get a new upgrade. So right now, since we had the bubble bowl, we're gonna do Forbidden Skip. So right now I'm just gonna basically bowl into the spike, and if you hit it correctly like I just got, you get enough of a momentum boost to be able to jump all the way over to the platform, and you can just jump up and grab that spatula. So now in this part of the run, we're basically just gonna like hand in all the shiny objects to Mr. Krabs, and so basically just RAAB for like a whole minute. So this is a good time for donations as well. Um, yeah, this actually, I gotta say, SBA is probably like the biggest community effort in our game's history. Like, there's been so many people who contributed to like making a setup for the trick, finding how it worked, and just different like different data for it. Like Shift like led a huge community effort to find a consistent setup for one Tiki that included him, Doyle, MV Parrot, Jared's Giants. You know, Lunk 69 found the original 30 Tiki setup, I'm pretty sure. Let's see, Hazel was the one that originally was looking at the trick. There's been so many people that have been working on it, and I feel like it's a great showcase of how the community has like evolved into like a ton of people looking for strats at the same time. And yeah, it's a really good trick. I think it changes any percent for the better, even though I do love no SBA. Actually, I'd say no SBA is I like it a little bit better, but the 57 that I got in that category was just so insane. I never really want to come back to the category. I've like spoken my piece in speedrun form. But yeah, SBA actually, like, because you're getting 8 spats out of the route for no SBA, it actually caused a board split up originally, because a lot of people wanted to stick with no SBA because the strats it was taking out were actually pretty fun spatulas. So there was a bit of controversy. Like a lot of people were upset with us splitting it up between no SBA and any percent, but any percent ended up being like the main category for a while. Oh, I missed computer room sock. That's fine. Oh, if I get this one. Alright, yeah, that's fine. Basically what I was trying to do there is I was trying to get the sock like right there to actually what would be a good backup sock? I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. What I was trying to do was I was trying to get like a jump off of the one of those like electrical thingies. We don't really have a name for those, but I didn't get high enough to get the bash off the pole, so I missed the sock up there. But that's no big deal. I could find another one. I'll just you know what I'll do Sand Mountain Lodge Sandman sock. That's not too out of the way. But yeah, that was Spinning Towers of Power. That puzzle was insanely difficult when I was younger, and then when I started speedrunning this game, I found out that you just have to hit each of the buttons once. So my mind was kind of blown and also like heartbroken when I first saw that in a run, because like I was just like, it's that easy? Like, come on. I used to spend like 30 minutes on this. But yeah, basically we did like a momentum storage skip there for slide skip. That allows us to access the warp for prawn skip, which we'll do later in late game once we have the cruise bubble. And we're gonna just keep going through Murmur. Security tunnel, usually we have to go in like these tunnels to like be able to get up the level, but we can actually jump into the wall here, and then if we there we go, that was kind of weird collision. We can like bash into this. I got the 1 frames. Okay, yeah, so we just basically get damage boosts off of that, and like before that just a like jump into some weird geometry, and we can just climb up the security tunnel like easy peasy. 1 2 3. So now we're like almost done with Murmur Lair. We're actually in a ballroom. We're gonna be coming back to this later. We just have to like go through here to get another like button. Yeah, my camera my analog stick has been kind of bugging out lately. It's been like I've been holding it all the way up, and it's like not like I'm not actually like running full speed, but it's no big deal. So yeah, we're gonna be coming back to BR or like ballroom later for ballroom clip, which was a huge find in the community. Shout outs to Conquer Hacks for getting the ball rolling on that. Sorry, I just had to. It was like the perfect opportunity for a pun. But yeah. So just gonna basically activate the cutscene to get on top of the Shady Shoals, but we're actually gonna go to rock bottom instead. Going to spin onto here. That just skips over the animation of having to like wait for the taxi. So I'm gonna do 2 boosts here to get over like pretty big gaps. This one's gonna be bathroom boost. This is another example of us like sequence breaking to the end of a level and then doing it backwards. So oh, this actually kind of makes it a little bit difficult to do the trick. I'm gonna have to reload. So, yeah, you wanna try and get hit by the sleepy time enemy when you're on the bathroom. So I'm just gonna hit that. I'm gonna fall down here, jump back onto here, and that's enough to get over there. That's fine. So I'm just gonna do a bubble bowl boost onto the hot sauce just to get a little bit of a speed boost. And you can actually, if you get a good enough bathroom boost, you can jump straight to the hot sauce, get a 1 frame off of that, and then just like make it all the way over to the toll gate. But that's pretty high level gameplay, and I don't usually get that. So sleepy skip coming up. Shout outs to my boy Alex97 who found this setup for the trick, so we don't have to do 1 frame sleepy skip. You basically jump in this hitbox, and then you can jump over to the platform by similarly to slide skip, like kind of clipping into the side of the wall, and then we can just jump down here and then get sleepy stock, and then I'm gonna go back up to the same warp for on top of Shady Shoals, and then we're actually gonna go on top of it. Then we're just gonna enter Sand Mountain, which is on the other side of the hub. Yeah, so this is basically like, this is a pretty good mid game. I mean, I miss computer room sock, but I got a backup that I can do, so it's not too bad. Yeah, just gonna similarly to rock bottom, just like jump down here onto the taxi pad so that I can skip the like cutscene that opens it up. Yeah, so this is the backup sock right here. If I didn't do this, I would have probably had to do Krusty Krab sock, and that one's terrible. Yeah, you can like actually spin and get a bit of a slide on the ice, because like the ice in this game, you can like slide on it, and if you spin during the cutscene, it just traverses a little bit of ground. Like while the progress in the game is basically idle. So now that we have 10 socks, we're going to go down to Patrick, and we're going to hand them all in for a spatula. We're going to get 1 more from Krusty Krab, and then we're going to be entering Industrial Park from the back entrance. So now I can warp to Infestation of the Krusty Krab. This is similar to Tree Dome, just kind of like an ambush level. We'll have 1 more of these in the run way later, because I'm probably not going to be doing Drain the Lake clip in this run. It's just kind of too risky for a ooh, that was a really good ricochet. It's just too risky for a marathon run, and I'm already getting lag clips in already, so I don't think I really need to show it off when I have like art skip and goo cage clip and like what's the not doing swamp cage clip, probably not doing that one. So now we're in Industrial Park. This is the second major boss fight, and basically we're just gonna like wait for Patrick to start spinning, and then once he gets dizzy and stops, we'll just throw like a bubble bowl at the "Do not hit me" sign, basically, because he's wearing a post-it note on the back. Right. Oh, that was too close. Yeah, kick me here. Although we can't kick in this game, that is not a mechanic. Yeah, a lot of people practice 1 frames here because like you can kind of just like walk around while he's not doing anything, but I kind of like to walk back here because then like I can basically go right up to him because I can kind of predict when he's gonna stop. Like I can just stand right there and just bowl into him immediately. And also you can't really shoot any goo when you're like on what I call like the infield. So you know, I just do that. But yeah, industrial park. You can actually. This also goes for Poseidon. You can actually clip under the ground in these levels and get the spatula, like for the level. But the problem with doing that is that you first need the cruise bubble and the bubble bowl, and you wouldn't have those at this point in the run. And also, getting the spatula doesn't actually give you the power-ups. The cutscene that is played after you defeat the boss fight, that's what gives you the power-up. So we have to make sure that we do the boss fight when we're doing like an 80% run. In a category like New Game Plus, where you get the Cruise Bubble and Bubble Bowl codes at the beginning of the run, you can actually clip under the map for like Poseidon and Industrial Park skip, but a lot of people don't do those because those lag clips are really hard. I'll go more into lag clips later in the run. We're almost there, but you know, there's just like a little bit more of Industrial Park left before. Oh, okay. I thought he was gonna like go more to the middle, but yeah, a little bit more gameplay before we get to late game. So yeah, basically the reason why I'm like jumping into like Patrick's line of fire right here is because if I didn't, he would play like a basically like 20-second animation of just spitting goo all over the map to where like you're standing at a specific time. So if you just get hit, that animation is actually faster than if you were to just like if you're just like wait for that animation to play out. So now phase 3, this is the only one that we can like really manipulate to some extent. So I'm just gonna get damaged again. Got a 1 frame off of that. That was pretty cool. And I'm basically just gonna go to the this corner of the stage over here. I gotta make sure that I don't fall off these conveyor belts, because for some reason there's no, like, when you walk off the conveyor belts, you sometimes don't get any knockback and just die immediately. That's pretty like dissimilar to most areas in the game. But basically the reason why I stand in that corner is to hopefully manipulate Robopat to stop in the front of the level. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to stand in this corner instead and just kind of like walk in place. And it's kind of difficult to get back after that, so I just got to make sure I'm playing it safe. Yeah, so that looks good. Almost stepped into that goo. That would have reset the cycle. So yeah, just gonna jump here. Alright, yeah, just avoid that. And now I'm going to do it in place one more time. I don't know if this one will work. I was kind of far away from the like corner, but maybe. Alright, yeah, that looks good. Oh no. I spoke too soon. That's fine. Yeah, sometimes like it'll like Robopat will land right in front of the level, or he'll just go like way in the back in the most inopportune area. So I'm just gonna play it safe in like jellyfish fields, and I'm just gonna like skip over doing DTLC. So I'll just do lighthouse in place of that spatula, and I'll just like use this walkover through like sea caves to explain what cruise boosting is. So we just got the cruise bubble, which is basically like a bubble type missile that we can use to like, you know, hit enemies from afar or hit like buttons from afar. But its speedrunning application is called cruise boosting. So you may have seen like when I use the bubble bowl, I actually get like a little bit of a speed boost. If we use the cruise bubble on the same frame as the bubble bowl, we actually store the momentum of SpongeBob like running. We have to use it against a wall, so we basically store that movement against the wall, and if we slide to the right or left, we can actually store the sliding speed. Therefore, we can basically double our speed with a cruise boost. Oof, that's rock skip. That's a very difficult skip right there. So you'll notice that like I kind of turn around a little bit weird, because basically when I hold back in this state of like being in a full speed cruise boost, I really can't move backwards because I'm being pushed at a constant rate of at least SpongeBob's full walking speed. So yeah, that's basically how cruise boosting works. We can use it to like traverse like bigger gaps, just go faster in general, and yeah, we'll use it later to actually like clip through walls, because the cruise bubble power up was really like not programmed well at all. Because when we use it, we get intangibility, and that basically allows us to like just clip through walls, like wherever we want, or not wherever we want, but if there's like some weird geometry where we're kind of like peeking out of a wall, which we'll definitely be using in like Murmulayer when we go back there, we can just like press L a couple times to clip through. We call it a foreclip, where basically if you press L like 4 times with a full speed cruise boost, you can basically clip through most of those types of weird geometry. So this is the hardest boss fight. This is very clutch. See, by this point in the run, or by this point in your casual playthrough, you wouldn't have the cruise bubble, so you'd have to like basically wait out King Jellyfish's attacks. But since we have the cruise bubble, we can just like throw all 3 of them and defeat them really easily. So yeah, and I should have also mentioned like there's like level specific collectibles. So in this level we had to collect the jellyfish jelly. In Murmulayer we had to hit the 4 buttons. There's like a ton of them that are tied to a certain like spatula that we get to use. Wait, there we go. I was about to split, but I would have like just stomped on my microphone cable. But yeah, so I'm just gonna basically go into downtown. We're doing downtown late, even though it's right next to Bikini, or well, I mean it's in Bikini Bottom, but the reason why we do it here instead of like right at the beginning, since it's right next to Jellyfish, is because the levels that we'd normally be able to do without any power-ups are like really just like Tiki's Go Boom, and that one's very slow. So we basically just cut that out of early game and then just do like Cruise Boost Rooftops. I'm just gotta make sure I don't get hit. There we go. Yeah, you can see like you can just make it over huge gaps, and then just do like a jump spin ground pound. I'd say Rooftops is actually the best example of like the biggest gaps that we got to make in the game. You have to like for sure have a full speed cruise boost in order to make it over. So I think that was good. So yeah, ground pound on that. We're just gonna basically like jump under a little bit of an invisible wall right here and just grab the spatula, because they didn't want you to just jump up here since you're supposed to grab this as Sandy for the Swing and Sandy challenge. But we're gonna go up to the windmill. I'm gonna do a jump spin ground pound onto here. I'm gonna bash onto the antenna, bash onto the building, and then this is the really tight jump right here. So nice. All right, let's go. So now I just gotta make sure that I get rid of the cruise boost, because when you're grabbing a spatula with the cruise boost, it like either camera locks you into one direction or you start spinning around the camera, and neither of those are ideal on a very small surface like that one, where if you were to fall, you would basically be falling onto a death plane like pretty low in the level. So I just basically get rid of the cruise boost just so that doesn't happen. And then I'm just gonna hit this one Duplicatotron right here. Right now we're in Lighthouse. There's like 4 layers that we gotta deal with, and then just get rid of all the enemies. If you like hit the Duplicatotrons as you're falling down, you don't have to deal with like any enemies. So it makes it a pretty fast spatula in say like no SBA, but I'm really only doing the 90% just so I don't have to do Drain the Lake clip, since that's a very difficult spat and I just don't really want to risk it. But now we're going to Goo Lagoon. So this spatula is called Save the Children. We're gonna have to get a first try cruise boost right here. Alright, that looks good. And there's 5 children that are holding balloons that we have to pop to save them, I guess. I missed that one. I'll just, I got an idea. I'm gonna get these 4 because I'm on a good cycle, and I'll just get the warp to Mrs. Puff, do this again, and then just like come back through the warp. So I'm just gonna hit these 3, and then 4th one over here, and then I'll just come over, get this one. Oh, that was clutch. I did not think that was going to make it because it was really far out. But yeah, I'm just going to do that backup. That's actually kind of unconventional. Most people would just like warp back to King of the Castle, but we're breaking all conventions out here. So now I'm just going to do the last spatula, which is over the moat, which we're actually going to do under the moat because we're doing it out of bounds. Normally we'd have to hit a button over on the side that's like invisible, and we're basically just gonna clip through right there. You could hear that I was like pressing a trigger. That's like the L clipping I was talking about, like with the intangibility and all that jazz. So I'm just gonna jump, ground pound on the level, and grab that spatula. So now we're going to rock bottom. This is the first instance of a lag clip. So basically, if we get a very slow speed cruise boost, we get some downward momentum, and we start lagging the game. If we activate a cruise bubble, it actually causes the collision detection to just go away effectively. So we can just clip under the level, and right there's actually a debug trigger with that purple shiny object that tricks the game into thinking that you got all 6 pieces of art from Mrs. Puff, and so art skip is insanely fast because now we don't even have to worry about that for the rest of the run, and also for the rest of like this rock bottom run through. So also what I did there was like I activated a button on the slide. Because we aren't actually on the slide, we can just like run down here and grab the spatula that would be at the end of the slide. So that just kind of is a sequence break that you weren't intended to do, because at this point you wouldn't have the cruise bubble, so you would have to go through the entire rock bottom level, get to the end, hit the button on the slide, and then go down it conventionally. But we can just skip over that. So now we're going to warp to get to the museum, and I'm going to do another cruise boost off of here. I probably should have mentioned like the difference between a cruise boost and a reverse cruise boost. So right here, I'm basically, or like right where I was cruise boosting off of Bubble Buddy, I basically did a left input and then down, because if you hold the cruise bubble in, if you hold L while doing a cruise boost, it basically allows you to turn your camera during the animation, and it makes it pretty fast when you can get one. The Bubble Buddy is actually like a box like character model, so it's really easy to cruise boost off of boxes, unlike characters like Mrs. Puff, which are kind of circular. It's very difficult to cruise boost off of those types of characters. But yeah, we're going to be going into museum. We're actually going to be doing this as SpongeBob. We're supposed to do this as Sandy, but if we get a cruise boost, we can ground pound up to here, and if I get this right, we can get a damage boost off the laser wall, get invincibility frames, and grab onto the ledge, and that basically phases us through the wall. And so I'm just gonna jump down here. I'm gonna spin to reset my vertical momentum, so it's okay. Spin to reset my vertical momentum to make it easier to get that trick, and there we go. Yeah, I kind of like clipped into the side of that. It was kind of weird, and that allows you to do that because the game basically like stores your downward momentum and stuff like that when you land, so I just had to reset it. But this is ballroom clip. Let's see if I get this. Wow, alright. So with ballroom clip, it's a displacement elbow. So it's the same inputs as a cruise boost, but basically, wait, I just want to get it first and then I'll explain. I'm gonna switch it to the left side. There we go. That was I haven't really been able to do many runs in a while, so That was pretty alright. And now we're just going to go to prawn skip. Basically, the game doesn't really like us being in that area, so it tries to warp us out on one frame. But as I said, with like a cruise bubble, it stores your momentum. So if you use an L bolt to store your momentum from that one displacement warp, you can like just basically clip through that wall. And what we did there was a boss skip, where we Sand Mountain. There we go. Basically, every single boss fight has a trigger above the origin of the level that the developers put in to just end the boss fight right there. So if you can get out of bounds and just jump into the trigger, it effectively ends the boss fight right there. So that's very helpful in prawn, and we'll use it later in 2 instances. But yeah, I just had to get up there on Sand Mountain. So now I'm gonna work back to Chum Bucket, and we're gonna like finally start a new level instead of doing any like backtracking. Well, actually, I guess we did downtown, but I was thinking of the no SPA route when we had it early game. Never mind. All right, so Kelp Forest. That's just a bit of a bowl to skip the cutscene for the taxi pad, and so I'd say this is probably the best example of us like just going backwards through a level completely, because the developers put the ending level or the ending part of Kelp Forest right here. So as long as you can get up to that platform, you can access the Kelp Vine slide, which is normally the end of Kelp, and just go from like the exit to the entrance. So we can grab the spatula at the bottom of the slide, and then if we go into the box with the cruise boost, we can activate the time challenge for the slide. If we there we go. If we activate the trigger by going like far enough onto it, we can activate the timer, go to the bottom, and trick the game into thinking we completed the time challenge. We can go back and get the spatula, and then just keep going backwards. So I'm just going to enter Kelp Caves. I'm going to get the spatula for through the Kelp Caves, and then I'm going to just keep warping back through the level. I'd say Kelp is probably the most fast-paced as far as like spatulas per time interval, because like we're just blazing through the level right now. Right now we're just I'm gonna hit a button to activate a cage to open with a spatula in it. You can actually do a lag clip into the cage to get the spatula, but I find it too inconsistent, or at least like I'm just bad at it. So I opt instead to do Sponge Swamp, where basically I'm gonna get a cruise boost here. I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna use the camera lock from the spatula to keep myself on the level, and then I'm gonna do a jump bash. I'm gonna hug the geometry and just hope I get a bash right here. Oh, let's go. That's like the ultimate swag strat, like for races and stuff, because nobody goes for that anymore, especially since like Hundo is the main category now, because you don't really see that in any category besides any percent. But yeah, that was really good. So now I'm gonna go back to Dream, and this is like the final time we'll be in Dream. We're gonna be doing music is in the ear of the beholder. So cruise boost here. I'm gonna be going for a cycle that's very tight here, so I gotta like just make sure I get the timing down. That should work. Gonna jump on this drum, ground pound on the tambourine, and then I'm gonna jump on this note, and we just tore right through Squid's Dream. You gotta say that was pretty clean. So now that we're done with that, we have enough spatulas to get into Flying Dutchman's graveyard, so we're going to work back to Mr. Krabs so that we're over at Krusty Krab. Cruise boost off of this. There we go. It's a double frame perfect trick. You're bound to mess it up at some point. Although it's kind of cheating to say that, because you're basically just like doing that. Like it's more just like timing your presses. But we're going to get a cruise boost off the pole. Jump on the chest, the tiki, there we go, graveyard lake sock, nice, let's go. So now I'm gonna lower the goo level using like by hitting this like cage for goo tanker, and I'm gonna get a cruise boost off of this chest piece, like wall jump thing. We don't really have a name for these. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm just gonna like jump on the side of that just to make sure that Chuck doesn't throw anything at me, because if you get hit by an enemy or something like that, your cruise boost goes away through the process of getting damaged. So I like to just play it safe there, because if you get hit, it's pretty detrimental because it warps you all the way back to entrance area, or like the start of entrance area. So I'm just gonna jump around that oil slick, and with this setup I always like go around the camera in a way that people just find like really scary, because you could easily fall off there, but I've only fallen off like once, so it's all good. I think I actually fell off in a race against Crawfish, who I think is also submitting any percent to the marathon. I would totally be down to do this as a race, by the way, if you guys wanted to do a race, but I'm more than happy to do a solo run if that's the case. So I'm going to do a manual cruise boost here. Since the that wall is too low, I have to basically manually end the cruise bubble. Oh, nice. All right, that's boat bash. That actually saves about like a second over having to do the regular boat skip that we do, so that was really good. I'm gonna do another pole boost here. This one's kind of treacherous because if you miss this, you have to go with the stack of ships warp, but there we go. Nice. So talk to Mr. Krabs, jump over here. We just have to hit all 4 cannons to get the spatula for destroy the robot ship, even though by that time we have not destroyed the robot ship or even activated the cannons. So pretty much a misnomer of a spatula name. You know, they're ready to fire, but we haven't fired them yet. So yeah, just grabbing the spatula, using the camera lock to go down to here. And the reason why we're actually going to activate them is because the developers kind of messed up when programming this level, where if you activate the cannons, even if it doesn't actually destroy the robot ship, it has the effect of activating the warp for Defeat the Flying Dutchman, which is the final boss in the level, and it ends up just like allowing us to get that spat at all, because normally we'd have to go through this whole level in like the intended method, but by doing that we can just cheese the game basically. So I'm gonna get an RCB here, there. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna bash right here. I'm doing front sub. Oh, the jump up ground pound on that. And I'm going to jump into the trigger above the origin of the level. There we go. And that just ends the boss fight right there, even though we never entered it. So this is the final lag clip in the game. It's called Goo Cage lag clip. Or I just call it Goo Cage clip. So I'm just going to get a very slow cruise boost. There we go. Get that downward momentum. There we go. Nice. That was actually a really good Dutchman. I'm really happy with that. All right, nice. Now we're going to Chum Bucket Lab. We just have to hand in the final spatula to Patrick, and then we can finally access the final boss fight. All right, wall jump in the Chum Bucket. You can go for an RCB here that saves like 0.5. It doesn't save time if you get a second try, but you know, it's all good. Alright, so we're gonna use that same end level like boss trigger like thing I was talking about right here, except you may wonder how we're gonna be able to get enough height. SpongeBob actually like chops the platform, and if we stand on this side, we actually just get launched straight up into the trigger. And now let's do fast brain. So I'm gonna get a cruise boost here, ground pound on the trampoline. I'm going to hopefully, oh, that might be kind of slow. Yeah, I could have like made it if I like was really lucky on that jump. right, there we go. All right, on the monitor. So I'm gonna do a L jump here. So like, there we go, clip in. And we have to hit the 3 fuses. Normally we would have to actually like manually hit these with the cruise bubble, but since we're inside, we can just like basically hit them like normal. There we go. That's a really unlikely clip. Oh, we're going for the swag strat. All right, here. I'm out. That is Battle for Bikini Bottom 90% in exactly 55 minutes. So that was actually a really fun run. I'm really happy with how that went. If I were to do this in a marathon, I would definitely do like Lighthouse instead of Drain the Lake clip, because just more likely to, you know, get a good run off of that instead of DTLC. And we already got like GCC and Art Skip, so we got some lag clips for the audience. But yeah, that was all I really have to say. I love this category. It's really the reason I got into speedrunning after I watched Shift's AGDQ 2017 run, and since then it hasn't been at a GDQ marathon. And I think with all the changes to the category, from like SBA, BRC, like even like Sandy Stream, really, like all those happened, like those are just huge discoveries that happened between now and the AGDQ run back then. So there's been so much change that I think it'd be great to have it at a GDQ run. And I mean, you know, as a proud SGDQ 2019 attendant, I would really love to be a part of the marathon. But you know, that's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching, and no matter what happens, good luck with the marathon, and I hope you raise a lot of money for coronavirus relief. And I'm out.